civilization. A hero from another time. On the starship Andromeda, hope lives again.
Let us begin. Are you ready?
I guess that works.
Let us begin. That's going to be the start of every show from now on. Let us begin. No, are you ready for some more?
Sorbo time. What is it? Sorbo Saturday?
Sorbo Saturday. Yeah, welcome to Sorbo Saturday. Even though I'm probably going to release this.
Yeah, I'm down with a case of the Sorbo sadness. So
I'll just come down with a pure case of the Sorbos. Oh dear. I'll just see a doctor about that. Anyway, welcome to the Holodeck. We are continuing our watch through of Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda.
My favourite part of Andromeda by Gene Roddenberry is when Corbin sorboed all over those guys.
It's Sorboing time.
Imagine if Kevin Bacon was the lead instead of Sorbo.
Sorry, who was that?
Better
then he'd have charisma. He'd have charisma then. Kevin Bacon's a really cool
Kevin
actor.
Bacon would
I like
be
him.
awesome. Was he not in a science fiction series as a captain? Who am I thinking of? What was it? Babylon 5 spin-off Crusade? That wasn't Kevin Bacon, was it? Do you remember
I think so.
Crusade? TV show.
He was also not Mr. Sinister in X-Men First Class.
No, it was Gary Cole. Sorry, it was Gary Cole that was in Crusade.
That's a very different
little bit different. Well, okay.
So you introduced this as Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda, which I think is an important distinction because when I pulled up the IMDb page for this episode, I see a guy holding up a bottle of liquor and then a naked Lexa Doig tastefully cut off right above the cleavage there. And it's like, oh, this could not be more Gene if they tried. But after we crapped on the pilot two-parter, this is like the first standalone. So I'm going to go in with like an open, refreshed mind and see what they do in terms of episodic stuff.
This is your boilerplate.
Yeah, I was thinking about this actually. I was thinking about, TNG, Encounter at Farpoint, it's a bit of a rough start, and like TOS has, where no one's coming for in the cage and a little bit. And then I think about those really, really good episodes that come after it, like Charlie X and Code of Honor. And I think, wow, those really set the tone for the rest of the series, didn't they?
Gentlemen.
They do. Would you like to watch a trailer? Would you like to watch a trailer? Would you like to watch a trailer for this episode for the person that can speak? So
it will be blissfully shorter than the actual episode. So yes,
it will be. So here we go. Crank up your.
Can we just review the trailers instead of the episodes?
This is what we do. That's our pre-rating, isn't it? So let's go. Let's do it.
On the next Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda, a long-forgotten outpost hides a colony of young warriors.
Junkatsu.
And these small soldiers
Get to the enemy!
have big plans
Get to the enemy!
for the Andromeda.
Something strange is happening.
On the next
The day of lightning.
Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda.
Oh yeah.
It's Sorbin time. Yeah.
You know what? Like, this is up there with, how everyone talks about TNG had a French captain for all of 5 minutes and he instantly surrendered? Frickin', we're like on episode 3 and we've already lost the ship to children. Like, Christ.
I feel like when we get onto our trope part of this, that is going to be the big one there. It's like, oh no, it's another Valiant. It's children shall lead. Here we go.
Bro, it could not be worse than Red Squad. Like, that was so...
Red Squad.
I don't know, at least Red Squad was intentionally cringy. I don't know if this is gonna be that self-aware.
All right. What would you
one.
like to throw out?
Right, one.
You're just going to go one?
On record with a one.
Holy oh, wow.
There's going to be one small redeemable thing where I'm like, it's not a 0. I'll give it a 1. So that's where I'm at.
You know what? I'm going to give this a 1.5. Do you know why?
Wow.
Because there are a lot of young people in this episode, so we're going to get a lot of chances to say, so young.
I forgot about that.
Wow.
Had to bring it back.
I'm gonna give this an optimistic 4. I will.
Wow.
I'm happy to go.
Oh no!
I know. I'm happy to go up and go down. I feel like they've showed us the actiony parts of this. There might be. I'm gonna pray for a silver lining.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be so much intellectualism here.
Do you reckon he's gonna give his Captain Kirk speech to the kids about this is what it means to be Andromeda captain?
Yeah, he's gonna be like, no, blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly.
E plebista.
Dude, if he sits one of the kids on his knees at some point, I'm just walking away. I'm done with this fucking show.
He's wearing a Santa
He
beard.
better not pull that.
Why do we not have more Christmas episodes in Star Trek? Anyway.
Because it's meant to be a secular type of thing. That's why.
True.
We only have really the TOS ones.
That's
And
true.
Generations,
Christmas
kind of.
Yeah.
It's because... never mind.
No, go on.
All right, I was going to do the... so Sorbo was in a movie called God Is Not Dead. So I was gonna say,
God.
because God is dead in the future and then tied into Sorbo. But I watched that in theaters. Like, because I've said before on this channel, I was raised conservative, fundamentalist Christian. And I went and watched a movie, and even I thought, boy, this fucking sucks. Like Christian movies.
I was listening to a podcast.
Anyway, I don't want to turn off our audience. You know,
No,
we do welcome everyone.
Just
But
very, very, very quickly, I was listening to a podcast, Dungeons and Daddies, and then a few of the guys from that went off. It's a great podcast if you ever go listen to it. Went off and did the Christerian Collection as a spin-off podcast to talk about religious films and Christian films, being both of them being ex-Christians, and then going back and looking at it, and they did do God Is Not Dead, and they did not have very pleasant things to say about it. So
yeah, send me a link to that. I'll listen.
Is it God Is Not Dead is the one that ends with like the atheist antagonist character like dying in like a car crash or something like that?
that's
And
I
he
believe
repents?
so. Yes, Sorbo
Oh.
is like a liberal teacher, college teacher, whatever, and he harasses the pure white Christian students, from what I recall. So,
anyway,
I don't know, man.
now we're in a good Sorbo mood. Let's get
Look,
Sorbin.
I started a Bible club in my school, all right? So I'm talking from both sides of the aisle here, all right? I understand it, and this is just not good media, but luckily Andromeda's a big step up.
Man, I see why you want to watch Bloodsport now. It's like high cinema compared.
I tell you what, we're gonna watch Batman 66 and we're gonna be overjoyed. We're gonna be throwing out 8s and 9s and 10s like that. We're gonna have such good fun.
Such fun.
Tell
All
me.
right, let's go and watch.
So young.
So young.
Toulouse the Fateful Lightning.
See how it's so much fun.
All right. Let's go. How do I do this? Now we've watched that episode of television.
We've
What's
fulfilled our
mystery
mission brief.
here?
What's our mystery? Well, I don't know because I can't read.
Forgot about that.
Can we just talk about how, like, halfway
This is
through...
the gift that keeps on giving.
We're like 15 minutes in the episode, and they wrapped up the main plot point. It's like, it's
They
been done.
wrapped it up.
They just found a station full of children, and they went, "Well done, children. Now it's time for us to go." And we saved the ship, and there was still like half an hour left in the episode. That was wild.
Oh, well,
This
I think
is
we all know
like-
why. They
It's like 3 Star Trek episodes bolted together in the worst, most awkward places. I can't believe it.
It's, I bet they had a really great, coherent plot that filled the time perfectly, and then someone on staff is like, "Hold on, we have to build a sex robot to save the day at the end of the episode."
Just out of
So
nowhere.
let's cut out about 20 minutes and then tack that on the end.
That was wild. That feels like that was something from a different plot. They just went, "Well, we need to see
Yeah.
Lexa Doig naked for the viewership, so let's just put this in." Harper has a secret, and it's a sex bot. Like, what?
No build-up. No build-up
Not at all.
whatsoever.
Ironically, the sex bot emoted better than anyone else in the entire
It's true.
cast of the episode.
Yeah, Kevin Sorbo just did not give a shit this entire episode, apart from the one point where he got really enthusiastic declaring himself a god, which you could tell he was hyped for. He was there for that. Like,
Also, I think Tyr had one line where he shouted out of nowhere, and then the next cut he was very calm again.
Are you
so-
insane? Like, okay, whatever.
yeah, very tear-like, very Rev Bem heavy. This one as well. We got I feel like, they're trying to set up Rev Bem as this sort of fish out of water, Holy Spirit of humanity. But I don't know if necessarily preaching to a 18-year-old girl who was doing her best old lady impression. Probably wasn't the best way to use it.
Rev's character is a little ham-fisted and heavy-handed and tropey, but he's still the best character by a mile on the show, I feel. Because you can actually connect with what he's saying. You can actually care about what he's saying. And he hasn't, at least not yet, had a moment where like his acting has been so out of place or so chaotic or so terrible where you're like, what am I watching? So he's been like the anchor of the show, I feel, to this point.
You know what the thing is that like I feel like structurally he's fulfilling the exact same role as like Hunt is meant to, where he's giving these speeches. He's kind of like the moral, ethical, upstanding character. But whereas Sorbo is just kind of incapable of projecting sincerity, Rev Ben's character, like he feels like he's giving his all. He's emoting underneath that makeup and doing his best. And he also actually lands a few jokes, like the line where he's like, "Oh, I think I feel my ribs hurting again," was genuinely funny. Like that was like the one good line of the episode, really. And that goes a long way. Like if you can have a character be both serious and funny, guess what? That's dimension. That's pathos and bathos. That's like the traditional Greek, like archetypes of playwright. But like, meanwhile, Dylan Hunt's over here like, I'm a god. Maybe I'm not. Oh, I'm kind of sad. Maybe let's keep it open. I don't know. My morals are whatever the plot says they are.
Yeah,
although to be fair, as bad as Sorbo was, Hayek, played by Christopher Lovick, made him look like fucking Sidney Poitier next to him, because like that kid. Actually, I unironically enjoyed hating him at one point because his accent is so like Nick at Night teenage actor syndrome.
So,
I think this was definitely the era, and like for many TV shows before it, having the hateable child on the screen that's just barely acting the best he can was kind of the thing until Joffrey Baratheon came round and actually turned around. Oh no, here's a child actor we can all really fucking hate. No, this is loathable. So I feel like after that, this wasn't the same thing, but it's a testament to the ADR that actually made him sound worse than probably the live action read.
Dude, imagine being some sound engineer stuck in a recording booth, and this kid is on take like 45, just trying to deliver the same line. Like, that guy was not paid enough.
His voice is probably cracking on every other fucking line, given how young he was. Okay, guys, I hate to bring this up, but the episode forces me to confront this fact. How old do you think?
So young.
Like, the implication here is that these kids die at the age of like 20, right?
Yeah, just because of radiation, not like genetic. It's just there's so much radiation they just die of, like, their marrow.
Right,
just disintegrates.
It's like they die of the radiation sickness, which doesn't seem to cause any like congenital defects or genetic defects in the kids. Like, they all look fine.
It's just that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's the point, isn't it? So, at what point? There's a very
it's that Commonwealth virility is well known throughout the galaxy.
There's a very slim amount of time here where these kids have time to have sex while not being creepy, carry a child to term, and then die of radiation sickness.
I see the flaw in your logic. You said while not being creepy. That is a modifier, which is not, they're not attaching to this story.
I mean, Gandalf had about 16 children, I think.
I mean, with a Chad named like Gandalf, how could he not?
I'm going to, and I'll remind you later. My worst of in this episode is the dialogue and the situations that, if you're going to do a show with kids, don't involve procreation, don't involve naked AI bots, don't involve them talking about rape, all the and murder and like beating people, and like, okay, I get what that's like sort of essential to the story, but then change your story, because they played the greatest hits of the things that make you uncomfortable when kids are on the screen. And it was just, man, it was everywhere in this episode. I couldn't stand it.
And the thing is like they are trying to make you uncomfortable. It's meant to be a thing of, look how the Commonwealth has fallen type thing. But it's like, no, I'm not uncomfortable because the Commonwealth has fallen. I'm uncomfortable because you're making children say the word rape, and because you're implying a situation in which like teenage pregnancy is not just the norm, but like
required.
You have to do that.
They definitely
required in order for this weird society. They can't address that. The instant they would have addressed it is like, no, you can't.
It's
like
no longer
everything about that has just Roddenberry written all over it, like the creepy.
It's Miri. This is Miri, essentially. without the
Well, and the children shall lead as well.
Yeah, I'd say it's
Both incredibly well regarded episodes.
which we haven't watched either, actually, not yet, not officially.
Me and Otto watched The Children Shall Lead when I went over to see him in Germany, and I don't think I'll ever watch it again. So,
Bro, no, we have to watch it for Trek Track, and it's going to be my worst. It's going to be my flat 0. Like, I don't think anything could get worse. Even this had some redeeming qualities.
Some of them. Would you like to know? This was actually written. Here's the people to blame by Ryan K. Meyer and Matt Kine. Interestingly, investigating their IMDb record, they have exactly the same IMDb. Both wrote a lot of stuff for Andromeda, was story editor on Buffy for 3 episodes. I kind of have a feeling it's the same person. Either that or they just write everything together. I'm not sure what's happened there.
That's not uncommon. There are writing duos that do that.
This is also
Stars and Me, for example.
Exactly.
You go word by word. Directed by Brenton Spencer, who is also, I think, directed one of the previous episodes. Best known.
Are you going to say Brent Spiner? I'm like, there's a crossover.
Who is best known for being the camera and electrical department on Rambo: First Blood.
Incredible.
Oh.
I like to imagine Brent Spiner looking over at Hayek's actor like, do you know what kind of debt you've earned, little man?
Do we want to talk about the
No.
No, I know we don't, but we're gonna talk about the little bits of world building they kind of did in here, and then just rushed over. So, like, the Nova bomb thing again came up.
Idol, is your mag bottle cracked?
All right, this was Enterprise's Terra Nova, where like they say I'm leg broke instead of I broke my leg. It's like it's so close.
Sounds like a load of shale to me.
The Mish brief, they're all just close enough to be.
What was the
like,
words of the
annoyingly-
past?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
the
the
password.
password.
I'm like, oh my god, get off my screen. All right. So what you touched on, it was gonna be my best of, and then they just fucking airlocked the entire character. Seamus Harper, he's talking. I think it's to Becca about like, no, I won't be accepting because look at what the Magog did to me. I'm like, all right, this is fine. This is some world building. It's very cliche, but it's like, all right, we get a little bit of give a little sympathy to an attitude that a lot of people are going to say, oh, you know, he's so entrenched and staunch, and why doesn't he have a heart? And yeah, but then they make him a fucking creep, and they have him build an AI sex bot. Like, are you kidding?
I mean,
and it's so bad because they even like prelude that with a scene. Becca comes up, he plucks her hair, locks himself in the back room to create this AI sex bot. You just don't even want to think about what's going on back there. So to give him like actual character building and then just undo it by making him a creep again is like, then why did you give him that scene?
Now, oh, look at me! It's like, and like because there's so little build up. We don't even know if Andromeda asked for this.
Yeah, literally just out of nowhere. Episode 3.
Of course
it's like we have to assume that she did because
So-
she seems to like the idea, but the conversation doesn't fucking happen on screen, now does it?
The parallel here is, which will come a lot later, but when it's done so much better, as you and me stars know, and also probably less familiar, is with Edie from the Mass Effect series, who is an AI for ages, and you get to know this character as an AI, literally a floating orb. And then during the third Mass Effect game, spoilers, she gets a full body through a sort of a weird graft with another sort of automated a being. And it's done naturally. You already know this character. You know this character's relationships with everyone on the ship. And she gets a body and becomes a member of the team, and it makes sense. This was just like, hey, Lexadoig should maybe be more than a hologram. Let's take her clothes off and push her out there. Thanks, Gene.
Yeah, because it's
Angel.
like there's so many levels like to which Edie makes so much more sense because it's like you have the entirety of Mass Effect 2 where you get to look. That's a 40-hour RPG, and you get to like grapple with the ramifications of her existence in a setting where AI is like prohibited, and it's like it's a really interesting moral quandary. She gets her own character development, and then in 3 she is I massively helped. She's a great actress. And then in 3, she doesn't initiate the process. It's a case of there is a AI body lying around that basically tries to like take over. She fights it, and then like they meld together. And it's like there's no. She even reckons with the fact that she didn't intend on going into this. And it's like, well, this is a bit weird, but I kind of like what this opens up to me. And she has agency and autonomy here. And
They
that's
even
exactly
make, right?
what Andromeda doesn't have here.
No, but they even make in Mass Effect as well. You've got the kind of the Harper analogy with Joko sort of being, hates her at first, is more into her, and then they start having a relationship in 2 before she's got the body. And when it comes to 3, they go, oh well, maybe you're into her just because she has a good body. Like, well, no, they've had this history for ages. It makes sense.
Yeah. And it's like they kind of just fast track all that here, and it's like, yeah, you did it earlier, but you did it way worse.
Yeah, it was just out of nowhere from just like, oh yeah, by the way, and then she can just control the ship like a god. There are very many analogies to like godhood in this, but not in the right way. As in,
she uses Bluetooth, so that makes sense.
Like, the thing that I don't get, right? So they create the sex bot. And Harper's a creep, decides not to give her clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sex bot is deployed to save the day.
Harper thinks, okay, let's put...
Machine gun jubblies sold separately.
Harper thinks, okay, let's just send this naked, attractive woman into a room full of children taking over the ship. Somehow they took over the ship.
I told you, dude, it's the greatest hits of what you don't want your kids attached to.
Yeah,
and then
it's just like, why? What exactly was about the sexbot body that gave her the power to neutralize the children, other than the fact that they were looking at her all weird?
Yeah, Andromeda could have done that anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe this one has free will. Maybe Andromeda.
That didn't need to exist.
Yeah.
The android body added nothing to the. No. And then, as if the creepiness wasn't already established. And then they give her that line about seeing Sorbo in the shower. It's like that.
Oh yeah.
Like on its own, like if the naked part didn't happen, that could be like, all right, that you get kind of a chuckle out of it. But we've already established that there's like a creep factor. So to pile on with that line, I thought was unnecessary.
They play this relationship between Dylan Hunt and Andromeda like as if it's like this multi-year thing that they've known each other for ages, but we haven't seen it. So they got this thing like, oh, it's going to be weird seeing you in a body instead of all the things you used to do and all this, rapport that we had. I'm like, we haven't seen any of that. This is episode 3. Like I said when we're watching it, this feels like an end of season thing. This is the thing you do once we've had ages for these two characters to get together, and then suddenly she's a real body, and oh, maybe there's something different here exploring the human nature in the data kind of way. But I feel like they've just rushed that completely.
Yeah, they really couldn't wait to get like a giant bite out of the cake, and guess what? The cheesecake was there. And it's like even Discovery did this as well with with Zora and the Discovery's computer. Yeah. But that again, even though you didn't get a lot of time with Discovery's computer as a personality, because it's just like the TOS, like ship's computer doesn't have a personality, and then the ship's sphere data, melds with it. You at least had build up. Over the course of season 2, and then it became a thing.
And the justification of it, she had a measure of the man moment. Like it was.
Yeah, and that was in like season 4. Like it took a while to get to that point because they took time to ramp up to it. They didn't just go, and now she's flashing everyone on the bridge, and it's just like what I said.
I bet you that
it'd be one thing if they were all adults.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make it any better, I don't think. But I mean, I bet you this gravity control thing never comes up again. I bet they get raided, and you think, oh, just increase the gravity in that very specific area that doesn't affect the rest of the crew.
I also like how they increase the gravity and like they do it so gently that they all just kind of slump to the ground rather than just going. It was very nice of them.
Yeah, she could have crushed him into like protein paste if she really wanted to. And so I didn't hate that conversation with her and him, like besides that the shower line, because you do have to do something to establish the character's backstory. And obviously it's rushed. Like we didn't need the android body until later on. But I like that they have, because they're really, so you have two factions. You have the Ascendant and Dylan with pre-existing relationship. And then you have like, the rest of them. So I do like going into the backstory, and then the cross faction, sort of the cross relationship between Dylan and the newcomers. Like they can build those from scratch, but you do have a few pre-existing ones that you want to hit on.
Do we think this is one of those examples of an episode that was actually filmed a lot later but inserted earlier? Do we think this is a little bit out of order?
Not really, because like the rest of the Maru crew isn't really.
They do seem a bit.
They still don't
don't they?
Well, they seem pally, and then like the instant the chips are down, they start selling each other down the river. Like Tears, like fuck him, I'll grab the Nova bombs and help you out. And it's like, okay, buddy,
I did
thanks.
like-
I mean, like, I
Classic
kind of
Worf.
expect that.
I did like any conversation between Tyr and Dylan is good because it makes Dylan look really bad, and Tyr's just like, well, you could create because he has a point. It's like you need to make an empire, you need these bombs, and like he actually has the
Okay.
fervent high ground on this.
I want to take up on this, right? So, why the fuck do the Commonwealth have Nova bombs?
I mean,
No,
That's
think about it.
historical precedent. Like
why does
Victor
America have
writes,
nukes? Like, why does-
writes history. Yeah, if they're the good guys, of course, you don't establish a big empire without a little bit of firepower. So
Okay, but here's the thing. So Dylan is in control of this vessel with like 40 Nova bombs, like as the start, right?
yeah,
And then he just was like, "Yeah, I'll keep them. I'll never use them, but I'll keep them."
He
Why?
keeps one. I think he said he kept one, didn't he?
wait,
No.
so-
In the initial pilot episode, he had all
Oh,
was
yeah.
on board the ship already.
Well-
The ship's complement of them.
yeah, that's what I don't get. Like he had no problem using 40 2 episodes ago, but now keeping one is like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I'm like, bro, you had 40
I think
last
that
episode,
stems
and now you're
from
afraid of
the
keeping one.
conversation he had with Tyr is like, he want, and he's kind of explained this. Like he kind of said, like, I want to, and again, they missed a chance here for him to have like a broken dream. Like he wanted to come back. I want to restore the Commonwealth with the good things in people, like just honesty and apple pie and all this kind of good stuff. But realizing actually, kind of Tyr's right a little bit. You do need a little bit of. And I feel like they didn't play again. These whole conversations are episodes in of themselves, and we've just jammed them all into
Dude,
here.
we're giving so much more credit than this episode deserves to these conversations.
I know,
Like,
I
it
know.
didn't actually raise any of these questions. We're just like, wouldn't it be great if they did? So,
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's literally like if the Federation just had like fucking trilithium devices ready to launch into the sun at any one point.
Right,
And,
Cobalt?
like they don't. Well, I was about to say tricobalt, but you can't. But those are just
Voyager
big
did.
booms. Well, Voyager did, but the thing is, you can't blow up a sun with that. That is explicitly positioned in
They
generations
did almost
as
kill
like
all the changelings.
well, that was like planetary bombardment, and it was also
I meant
a
the
virus
virus,
after the
the
Dominion
virus.
War. Yeah, that was like way into the Dominion War. Like that's a
Oh,
different
okay,
kind
that's
of
fine
like
then.
prospect. And it's also a case of like that was Section 31. It was only tacit. Like there's levels here, right?
Mm.
Whereas
Well, we know
we're
nothing,
led to
so-
believe that the standard complement of a high guard ship is just 40 Nova bombs. Why? If we're meant to believe that the Commonwealth was ever worth a damn, why have they got 40 of the biggest nuke bombs ever made? Why? And then they just have them sitting on a dry dock as well. Like, for a civilization that seemed to be really, really high and mighty and like enlightened, and we get quotes from them at the beginning of every episode, they really do seem like a load of assholes who are like, we're really, really nice, but we'll nuke you into fucking oblivion if you fucking look at it wrong. Like,
it's a bit of the Voyager problem where they outclass everyone they come across.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's easy to have the moral high ground when everyone has to do what you say or they die. So I hope we get some episodes. I don't know if we're going
Yeah.
past number 5, but I hope maybe the next one shows them on the back foot and having to compromise or having to do a little diplomacy instead of Dylan Hunt going, I am your God. What I say is scripture. Like, really?
Keep Liam Neeson. All right,
All
let's
right,
go on to our.
Well, hold on.
okay.
I do have a topic here. I want to ask, and maybe we have to watch more to get the answer. But to compare to Star Trek, you always have a character who is sort of like the mirror for humanity. In TOS, it was
Yeah.
Spock. It's Data in TNG. It's Doc in Voyager, and usually, it's an alien. Do we have a character here who's going to be kind of like the touchstone for
It's Ben,
when
isn't
we're
it?
trying to tell the allegory? Who's going to
Yeah.
be the guy that reflects back on Dylan? And is
It's
it going to
Ben.
be
kinda
Rev Bem
Trance.
every time?
You think it's Trance?
I was kind of thinking
is-
trance, maybe.
Trance is more the kind of
I don't-
airy fairy, hidden depths kind of, because no one knows what she is. I think she's more the kind of like little bit of light-hearted comic relief that people can just kind of go like, oh, Trance is on screen. But I feel
I'm
like
thinking more of the innocence angle of Data.
Mm.
It's more of a case of like, I
True.
feel like you've got multiple here, and it kind of diffuses the effect. Like you've got Red Bem is a bit more sort of like a Odo-esque figure where he has a different cultural viewpoint, whereas Trance has that childlike innocence of a Data.
That's true.
And then Tyr kind of has more of like the acerbic thing of an Odo, and it's like there's different kind of aspects of the Star Trek mirror, but there's no one who feels like a dedicated one, and I feel like that kind of takes away from it, because I kind of like having a designated character whose function is to, basically verbalize the moral message, especially in a show where the morals are as messy and fucked up as this show. When you think about them for more than 3 seconds.
Let's also think about this, like. They talk about like the Commonwealth being great and good, the Federation essentially, but it was the Commonwealth morals that basically had a station full of children bigots. Every time they saw an alien, they just like, let's shoot it, let's shoot it.
Well, no, because that's Chinese. That's Chinese Whispers, or a game of telephone.
Oh yeah, she couldn't read.
Where it's
that's fine.
Yeah, she couldn't read. Like, well, I don't know how she couldn't read. But
By the way, how did we skip that line? Dude, she explains what the scripture says to Dylan, and then he goes, "Are you sure?" She goes, "I don't know. I can't even read."
I might just put the clip in here of us reacting to that, because that's fucking hilarious.
That's not exactly what it says. Look. Read right here.
I can't read.
So you just explained what it says, and then when it says read it, you go, "I can't read."
Have fun looting?
I know a baby.
Is that the most hilarious thing ever?
A quint of
So young.
logic chips.
That's quite a bonanza.
And you ain't
can't
seen
read.
yet.
So good.
300-year-old New Bayern Weissfrau.
Oh, it was so good. And it's just like, yeah, this civilization makes no sense. The instant you think about it, it's like a load of like kids who barely hit 21 before they die of radiation poisoning.
You know
They
what?
can't read.
This is really making me appreciate Terra Nova from Enterprise, because they probably someone involved
They
watched
took a
this and goes, "Dude, they improved almost every single aspect of this episode in Terra Nova,
Hang
and
on.
even that was like a completely mediocre
They
episode."
can't read,
And
and
it's
they have
like-
the authorization and the know-how to fly one of those fighters.
Yes.
Yeah, like they can read, and they know how to interface with things, and like cut off Dylan's commands to the Andromeda while they're on the ship. Like how often? Like it's been 3 episodes, and every
No,
episode
it's okay
the
because they
ship's
took
security's been
nanoprobe
compromised.
inhibitors. That's fine.
Yeah, sure. They know how. They can read that manual, I guess.
They can't open the shuttle bay door, but once Dylan opens it, they know exactly what to do in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is why Terra actually. Yeah, I hate to do this. I hate to be giving Terra Nova credit, but Terra Nova did it right because it had a reasonable time frame to do this.
You're
Where it's
talking
like,
They
Shale.
did one plot. They had one plot in Terra Nova. That's it.
yeah, yeah, and it's like it was like what,
Also-
like 50 years was the time scale there. This is like 300. There is no way this civilization lasts 300 years on board this ship, this station. Not when they're all dying of radiation poisoning.
Terra Nova also peaked at like minute 30, and then they had the secondary subplot with the guy breaks his leg and they're trying to rescue him. That except instead of an AI sex bot, they wrote something that was like non-offensive. All right, I'm done talking.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay, let's go
We're
on
good.
to. I feel like we've already said them, but what was your bread of the episode, gentlemen? Please, Auto, start us off. What was your bread?
All right, so if you're new to the holodeck, the bread is what will stick in your mind, be it good or bad or funny or whatever. When you think about the episode, you're gonna think about that. I preface that to say because it was not good, but I will always think about why did we build a naked android that didn't do anything physically? Like it interacted through the ship systems via Bluetooth. You could already do that without the android. It served no purpose except to put a naked 27-year-old woman in front of the viewers, and it was so.
And a load of children.
Yeah, and in front of the children. So that's what I'm gonna think about when I think about this episode.
It's for the children. She's a role model.
Oh no! Stop your shot, Luke.
Idle, what will you take with you?
Oh, my bread. I'm sorry, Stars, if you already had this one, but my bread was definitely I can't read.
Damn it! Damn it!
It was just that. I'm so glad you passed it over to me because, like, it was just the way. And she just turned around after saying all this scripture, looking through. She knows where the documents are. She recognizes them as documents. She knows all the index. She's memorized them all, but she can't read.
You know, in the hands of
Maybe
a
they're
superior
audiobooks.
staff.
It's got an Audible subscription.
In the hands of a better crew, you could actually believe that that's like social commentary on people who are so sure that they know something, but they've never read it before. Like there's a hint of truth in there, especially in social media age, but
no.
This is just hilarious.
No, that's terrible.
The free can see witches.
Yeah. Stars.
My bread.
You can take that as well. It's fine. I mean,
bread. No, I guess what? It will bring me joy for years to come.
So young.
So young. It's probably going to be Rev Bem on the bridge.
Can we just give them
saying,
credit? Finish.
It's Rev Bem on the bridge, just looking around at all these children that are about to beat his shit in again. He's like, I think my ribs hurt again. It's like
that was actually genuine.
Yeah. Go on, Otto. You were gonna say.
Yeah, I want to give them credit because like we're 2 episodes in if you count the 2-parter as one, and they've given us 2 Mimi lines on par with no vaccine and no Lieutenant Yar. That is impressive. That and then 2 genuine guffaw moments with what was the one?
City
France
bought a farm.
Yeah, bought a farm, and this one. So it's like
and iconic characters such as Gando and Monzo.
Meeps.
God, this show sucks.
It does. I think it's a good time to go on to our news section.
Killed while trying to escape.
Damn clever, if you ask me. It's a classic.
That's what they wanted. Who wanted us killed?
Since you're all stealing tropes anyway, why not let you?
His name is...
Oh, no. Son of a...
Okay, what moments in this episode were especially tropey or stole or owe their lineage to something you have seen in the past? Let's start with you, Stars. What was your tropey moment?
Guess what? I'm going to go straight in for the jugular. This is a straight retread of the Omega Glory with the Plebnista and the Yangs and the Kangs and just like the Free can see witches. It's about how the Free can see witches if they and it's like, no, it's frequency switches, you dumb bitch. And just every phonetic, the G-stat com and the once off and just
the once off. I forgot about. Can someone explain once off to me? What is the anagram for that? No.
You can't plainly, so that's the problem.
Okay.
I don't know what it means.
Once
it
off.
means something.
Number one.
The noble
once
bombs.
No, yeah, okay.
Yeah, the day of lightning. Just fuck off.
Anyone in comments, please explain.
Just, it's so lazy. Like, at least Shale is memorable because, like, there's a little bit of, like, distance there. You can see why there's linguistic drift.
It's fairly, yeah. I mean, it's only 40 years,
like,
but that's Terra Nova's problem is that all this regression happened in a human lifespan. Like, it's not, yeah.
Well, that's also why I buy it more, because it's like, yeah, they were also dealing with radiation poisoning, whatever the fuck, right? Whereas here, it's
do you think the Enterprise producers watched this episode and went, no, I can do this better?
Yeah, probably.
They did do it better.
They did. Yeah, they did.
Shale is kind of like, it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
You know, it's not what they're doing here. The distortion of the language is not. They're not drawing a comparison. They're just using words that sound like it's onomatopoeia. It sounds like other words. They're not actually. So Terra Nova, as much as that language sucked, they actually made you think for half a second to why are they calling it that? Oh, because Shale is like breakable and unsteady, and okay, that's why they're calling him, a lie and distrustful. But this is not.
Welcome to Walk a Clock. It's Trek time.
What? Oh my god.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, that's the reaction, though. He's right. Yeah. That is the reaction. Every single time there was a new one, we were just like, oh my god.
Yeah, see.
Every one of them was a groaner. Like, none of them took me a moment to work out what they meant. It was just like, oh my fucking god. Oh, wait, hang on. Once off. It's the first officer. First one, once.
Yeah, that's
I'm
kind of
pretty
what I
sure
thought they
that's
were
it, the
going
first
for,
episode.
but it's a weird way of doing it. Yeah.
Well, oh yeah, it's shit. Guess what? The entire episode
Okay.
is shit. But I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for.
Sorry, Otto.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't care. You guys can, if you want to get it out, if this is cathartic to you, by all means.
Very.
Do you think about like also like 300 years, right, of linguistic
I
drift?
want you standing in front of like a brick background with a microphone. And what's with all these bad puns in these Andromeda episodes?
Dude, those classes at Harvard, they're like, all right, this linguistic class, we can either study Darmok or we can study this episode from Andromeda. And it was real close. It was down to the wire, but unfortunately, they went with Darmok instead of this.
Oh my gosh!
And it's like the complete arbitrary nature of what survives and what doesn't. Like the word rape is so integral to their like ideology that and its meaning survives completely intact. But words that they use on a daily basis, like want stuff, no fucking clue, no idea what they mean. Like, explain it to me. How does that make sense? How does the word that you use, I hope, less often? Also, do they live in like a weird utopia where there is no crime and no rape? Do they just die before they hit the point where they start doing that?
I think the implication was they get invaded so often that they live in a sort of pseudo-militaristic state. Like it is constant war.
Yeah, but all we saw was like one corpse. It's like, do you guys even get attacked very often? Like, no one looked to be injured. Like, just
they must have a doctor. Like, what were they like? This 6-year-old doctor's like, I'm
don't
gonna
think
have to remove the leg.
Hi, Dr. Nick. Did they ever do a film?
I'm going to rehome your leggy part. Is what you would say.
You're hired. Did they ever do a film adaptation of Lord of the Flies?
Yeah, the original 50s version, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet. I think I'll watch that. It's got to be better than this.
I mean,
easily.
Yeah, it's all the derivatives. This Treasure Island, Gulliver's Island, or what Gulliver's Travels.
Oh god, it is all that, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was the segment? Tropey?
This is the tropey one. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I took that one and I went for it. Sorry.
And you gotta say whatever else. At least we're having fun with it. There's been some episodes where we're like. Yeah.
You see, you brought the high class with the Twilight Zone.
I have vaguely favorable memories of Andromeda watching it as a kid, and now I'm struggling to find what it was that stuck with me that I
was it Lexadoid?
Didn't completely hate. It might have been.
Yeah. I remember enjoying the storyline once it got into like the Magog sections and it started getting a bit more serialized. I remember enjoying the mystery around Trance. And Tyr was pretty cool. I feel like but then I might have been watching this like on another screen while I was playing Counter-Strike, so my attention span maybe not all have been there.
Maybe as we get further into the show, it'll magog your memory.
Well done. Also, what's your tropey moment?
Don't say well done. Don't encourage it.
Better than anything I watched in the last 40 minutes. Come on.
Hey, listen, I have an excuse. I can't read.
I mean, this is kind of a loose trope. You don't see it everywhere, but the lock yourself, and just because I want to touch on how much I hated the naked AI bot.
Yeah.
The trope of like he locks himself in the room and then comes out with
has a trope
the
name.
robot.
I think it's called Born Sexy Yesterday is what it's called on TV tropes. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
I don't want to say anything more about it. Just that's what I'm picking for the segment. Idle. What would you pick?
Mine would definitely be, the child is having some sort of traumatical crisis, and the dad comes and sits on the end of the bed and goes, "Well, son, let me tell you." And Kevin Sorbo did exactly that when I can't remember her
stroking
name.
her cheek.
Oh God, yeah, just trying to be the father figure to this leader of a cult. And trying to get her to convert, and then introducing this very hairy bat-like man to try and tell her that he should buy her car insurance or something. I don't know.
Why was his arm so hairy? That made no sense to me.
I think it was it part of the Magog outfit that kid was wearing when he was being fake beaten with sticks.
Possibly.
Like, I
that
don't.
kid. Yeah. No, I was
Maybe.
I was thinking more of like Rev Bem actually come to talk to her in her bedside, but the more like Kevin Sorbo sitting down with her and going, "I'm gonna just lie to you," as all parents do to their children, and it was just a bit like here's why he is the better man here, and okay, this leader is not great. So that's kind of my tropey moment, and it didn't play so well. How about we go over to...
The best advice I can give you is to just be yourself.
You're the worst thing that ever happened to Zek. You're the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Actually, that's the second best piece of advice.
In fact, you're the worst thing that ever happened to the entire Ferengi Alliance.
No.
Just stop saying that.
I'm glad you're enjoying this. The sound isn't coming through to us, so I can only speculate as to what segment we're doing next.
We are doing the best and worst. So let's start with you, Otto. What was your best and worst section?
Since I already talked about Seamus's little hallway scene earlier, I'm instead, for my best, going to give it to Mapes, who pulls off a brilliant dramatic acting job when he fools them into thinking that he actually wants to defect. And then they open the gates and the Trojan horse comes in, and nope, it's actually it's actually Hayek here to spoil the end of the episode. So, good on him. Worst part, it was the AI sex part, which I have to keep mentioning because it was so gratuitously bad.
Egregious, yeah.
Those people should be ashamed. Like, better. If you're watching a Gene Roddenberry product, you kind of know what you're getting into. These, besides having his name on the thing, he was not alive to force these decisions into the show. So whoever did, shame on you. The actors deserved better. The character deserved better. And hopefully now that they actually have her in a body, they'll do something interesting down the line to redeem that terrible introduction.
You know what it is? It's like, so this came out in 2000, right? Gene Roddenberry had been dead for, what, like 10 years by this point? Yeah. 10 years? And they decided that, like, they had these scripts, and they have Roddenberry's fingerprints all over them. Like, you can literally see the TOS scripts that this was cribbed off of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they looked at it, and no one went, guys... Do you think there's a reason why TNG took him off? Do you think there's a reason why this took so long to get
No, it's about the artistic integrity of the great man, Gene Roddenberry. Come on.
Wait, what if they did? What if this is the cleaned up version?
Oh, God.
It probably is. Yeah.
What if Gene's was like...
What do you think is the most
I don't want to think about it.
Gene Roddenberry script out there?
Okay.
Justice.
God.
Justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Justice and Angel 1, those are the two. It's always those two. Like, because TOS, like, for all, like, that we point and laugh at it, was actually more restrained most of the time than TNG. Like, the only reason we don't think of it that way is because, obviously, there's so much 60s misogyny where it's like, stuff like Mud's women. But it's like, if you think about it relative to the time, I kind of think stuff like Justice and Angel 1 is way worse relatively than what the stuff was going on in the 60s. So, like, Roddenberry kind of got worse over time.
For that writer's strike after season 2, that kind of elevated everything.
I'm going to cancel myself here, rightly so, but I feel like maybe there's a chance the reason they gave Andromeda the body was they were going to have her seduce the leader of the kid who's like 19 or whatever. And then they realized, no, we can't do that because they're children. And so they said, oh, we'll just have her do some magic with the ship and have him lie down.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because I'm trying to think, why else would you do that other than simple, like, gratuitousness? So
yeah, because no one really reacted to it other than...
They may have rewritten that.
There was no, like, no one was catcalling. Oh, woo woo,
Yeah. Hayek was so, like, I head up on murder. He had no time to look at his other, like, thing and, like, worry about that. It's like he was, like, so, like, bloodlusty and it's like, yeah, it is weird actually. Yeah, because it's such a non sequitur. It comes out of nowhere.
Dude, we're watching the better version of this episode.
Yeah. Stars, what is your best and worst?
Worst is just like the instant you think about anything going on the screen for more than 3 seconds. The instant you ask. Because sci-fi is all about world building, right? It's all about like, how does that work? How does this work? And really, really good sci-fi will either be so compelling you don't ask the question, or it will be so good that it has an answer for that question, or it will be so bad that you're left wondering, I don't want to know the answer, or it's so bad that, like, why did you think this was an acceptable answer? And this falls within those last two.
Yeah.
It's like, nothing about the civilizational setup makes any sense within the time scale. Everything that you come up with as to a reason why this civilization is still going is creepy and gross and makes no biological sense. They have a weird religion, but they don't appear to have any kind of doctors. They like killing Magog, I guess. Like, what, do they just have infinite ammunition? I guess that's great for them. And just like they can't read, but they can memorize all the scripture. They don't know like basic shit about the Commonwealth, but they can like pilot slip fighters so well that like the Andromeda can't catch up to them.
Yeah, there was that as well. Inconsistent, like, oh, we're 7 minutes away. It's like, oh, we're right on top of them. Like, yeah.
You guys remember that scene in Forrest Gump where he's being I think this is like the first scene with what's his name, Tom Hanks, where he's a young adult and they're chasing. He's running. He's being chased by bullies in the truck, and they get like this close to him. Remember, they're like brushing up against his legs. And then he takes a left turn, he runs in the cornfield, and they cut. And when they cut back, he's like a mile away. And they're supposed to show like how fast he is. They launch these slip fighters. Dylan goes, let's chase them down. 3 seconds later, they're a half an hour ahead of them.
Yeah. They're ridiculously far ahead for no reason. Because it's like Slipstream assumedly works on the same rules as Warp. Like, why does like heading into Slipstream like 3 seconds before you do give you a 20-minute lead one time, and then you do it the next time, and suddenly we're right on top of them, and we can do both. Like,
it's how you enter. You know, if you enter with a planned calculation, whereas you do a sick 180, and you know, it's like you're on a skateboard. You do a sick 180 and land.
Dick.
You're gonna have to spend some time
what
adjusting
was your best
yourself.
moment? Stars.
My best moment.
It's got to be something.
Is it that I can't read?
To be fair, that has brought me the most joy.
I was not expecting to laugh quite that hard. You know what? I'm gonna go for a slightly like off the beaten path. I'm gonna go for Tyr like selling everyone out the instant he gets a chance, because it was really funny to see him try and then immediately get denied, and it was very Worf-like. In like, if Worf was more like a Romulan, that'd be how his character would be played. And I kind of enjoyed that. It's not like Tyr got much else to do, so yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Well, you can't even get mad at him because we're episode 2 and he's a hired mercenary. Like, what do you want?
And also, like, Hunt is an idiot who has proven that he can't do shit by himself unless the plot says he can.
Okay.
Idol, what about you?
I'll start my best. My best is also a Tyr moment. I'll go for the Tyr and Hunt conversation that we're talking about what it constitutes to make, you know, restoring the Commonwealth. I felt like that was the first kind of good bit of like moral conundrum to like, how are you going to restore this Commonwealth? Because no one's actually addressed to Dylan how he's going to do this. He has no knowledge of this at all, of this, you know, universe 300 years in the future. And like, yeah, you're going to need guns. Like, Tyr is right. You're going to need something for the unknowns out there. So that was nice. I am growing to like Tyr. I feel like he, apart from the moment when he's standing at the console going, "Are you insane?" out of nowhere.
It was at least funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
At least he was emoting. Yeah, at least he gave a shit.
Yeah, I remember Tyr being quite plot crucial and quite a good motivator in this series. So.
A shout out to their editing team, because you know he did about 50 takes of that, and they're like, which one flows most naturally? That one.
No. Are you insane?
Are you insane? Insane you are.
Worst moment? Oh God, it's just so... I'm just
You've got
gonna.
so many to pick
what's
from.
the one stuff's name? Karok, Kadok,
One
Campo, Campo, whatever. Klimpon,
Lando,
Gando,
yes.
Gando, I think.
Gando.
Was Gando.
No, Gando was the guy that
Mapes, Hayek.
It wasn't Mapes. It wasn't Gando. It was Kayak, Kolong, Kim. Whatever. Anyway, him, the guy, just him in total, like just awful. Like, yeah, you're right. We said it when we were watching it. It was some director's son who got in there. Apparently, he did act until like 2017, but it was just at all points. It was just like this character is here to be Hayek. Okay, I was well.
Hayek, yeah.
Hayek.
That thing that O'Brien does in the holodeck.
No, that's blown out. But yeah, just him in general was just awful. So let's go on to.
I can show you my rating code.
Schiller rating 3.5. Associational rating norm -3. That's much too low a rating.
It's not accustomed to seeing an unsatisfactory rating on a member
Much
of
too
my
low
crew.
rating.
Can't even hear it, and I know it.
So low. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to send it through. Yeah, you were not bad off the timing.
Good.
So, I believe Stars, you do for a Treks. I would like to suggest one here, if possible.
All right.
And this is not indicative of the episode, and probably will be outvoted. But how many bottles of a new Bayern Weissbrau out of 10 would you give this one? I am willing to see that one.
I
to the
like
floor,
it
because
I like it.
That's impressive. That's probably the best one you've ever done. German beer in space.
German beer.
Like we're just glossing over that.
Okay.
Yeah, specifically Weissbrau. Yeah, no, I like it.
It was a Weissbrau because that's Harper's just like, I can drink one and give it to you, and yeah.
Although none of us should be surprised that that's what Idol zeroed in on in this episode.
He's like, I need alcohol to get through.
Not wrong. All right, Stars, give us your rating and reason. Actually, I don't know if I need your reason. Just give us your rating. Let's get out of it.
What did I get?
You pre-rated a 1.5.
Okay.
I think I got downgraded to 1. It would be like a 0.5 if it weren't for I can't read.
Oh wow, that brought it up.
Yeah, it genuinely brought me joy.
I'm clipping that for a trigger.
It's just so trash. Like, I made fun of this episode when we were starting up. It's like, man, TNG and TOS starting off strong with episodes like Charlie X and Code of Honor. And then this is exactly of the same quality. It's in that league. I don't know what it is about Gene Roddenberry Productions that means that the third episode must be some of the dankest shit you've ever seen. What is wrong with this man? Just cut the
watch
script.
The Lieutenant. We should go back and watch The Lieutenant and see if there's any similarities.
I bet it was good.
Actually,
it was way better than this.
It does make me want to be a fly on the wall when he's pitching this stuff to execs. He must be like the most charming man ever, because
there are
he can get like he has
coming in and swinging his stuff about. Like it's.
He has like vaguely interesting ideas, but then he sells the networks, and then this is what we get. So I don't know.
He probably would try and sell you this episode as like it's an interesting look into the degradation of society over time, as the structures of common decency fall down, and then let the neck really get. He's like, oh yeah, and then there's gonna be tits, and then that guy at the end is like, sold.
How many? Now let me remind you, what was it? It was the first episode.
I'll now you down to 2.
Yeah. I'll remind you that, what was it, the first episode we did of this, when we watched the very first one, I said that actually after season 2, they fired Robert Hewlett-Wolf, and they wanted to make this less thinky and more sexy and more action-based. They wanted to make this show we are watching less thinky. Otto, what's your rating?
I can't read.
I'm giving this 0.2 bottles of Space Brewed Weissbrau. It was going to be some form of fraction below 1, in the higher range, because there were a couple funny lines. There was a scene or two where I'm like, all right, hey, a little exposition. And then again, they pulled out the naked AI sex bot, which is so just beyond the pale, so distasteful. And we've had, because we're mostly guys on this channel, we've had some comments about attractive actresses before, or in Star's case, Beefcake Wharf or whatever. But this was not that. It was so unnecessary. And to do it in an episode of children, Whatever. I've said enough. It's 0.2.
You know what it is? Yeah. It's the TV equivalent of jangling keys in your face. It's just so insulting to your intelligence. You know? Just.
Okay. Yeah. I will give this.
Well, hold on. Isla pre-rated this a 4.
I gave this a 4.
Oh, wow.
I was so much more optimistic. Wow. I'm going to downgrade this by exactly 4 points. I'm going to give this 0. Don't watch this episode. Like, it's just trash television. It tries to be poignant and misses the mark. It tries to be 3 episodes in one and doesn't do any of them as well. If they'd actually just focused this script onto one element and expanded on that, instead of going, we're going to do everything in half an hour, and then, by the way, we're going to... Harper makes a sex bot? Yeah, sure, why not? And, turns out, if they'd have just spent... this is a new series. They've had development time. This isn't like it's season 3 or 4 and, we need to rush some scripts out. They've had time to do this. They've had time to set this up. They've had bloody 60 years of this stuff trying to set up like an Andromeda kind of thing. And they rushed the 3rd episode, and it just feels so sloppy. It is literally a detriment to television. It is so bad. And I am starting to wonder how I actually kept watching this series. Again, I was just too busy playing Counter-Strike on the other monitor. I think that was what I was doing.
Yeah, no, you were like blasting noobs in the face and hearing I can't read, like
yeah. Sucks for her, yeah.
All of his Xbox Live insults came from dialogue from Andromeda. So. Why are we losing? You're so young.
So yes, you will not get any bottles of New Bay and Weissbrauer from me, I'm afraid.
I want to ask you guys, I know we should just kill this thing right now, but did the decision of making these characters children add anything to the storyline? If they were adults and you played everything the same way, would you have lost anything?
I don't think so. And I'm bringing it back to Terra Nova. They were adults.
Right.
It's the same situation, essentially, and they were adults, but they were more primitive, and I think that told the same kind of intellectual gap there. And I don't think them being children, it just screamed more Miri, which is a bit more uncomfortable.
Yeah, because they didn't even really lean into the tragedy of like a life cut short. Like Hassan's 20 years old, like she's already dying. Yeah. It's like that's tragic. That's awful, and like. It gets played for like one line. It's like she's only got a few months left, and then it's just like not really cared about. She's just like a plot device, and it's like it feels like Gene. This is absolutely a Gene script. You can tell. He had like the idea of like I'm going to visually represent that this civilization is stunted by using children, and then he never thought any more about what that implied about the rest of the script.
Yeah,
like it's just pure, just visual symbolism. And no other reason for it. Like I say, it would only make it better if it were adults. It'd be less creepy. It'd be less weird.
Yeah. Well, before we end this, would you like to know because we've got 2 more episodes left on our first 5s.
Hold on, what's the average score of this
the average score, it is a 0.4. It is low. It is the lowest episode we've watched so far of the 3 episodes, so far is the worst. The next episode is called D-0.
That's the rating, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That's my pre-rating.
Summary. So I'll give you the summary.
Show you my rating code right now.
That's your Schiller rating here. Andromeda is attacked by a powerful unknown enemy, and the crew are put to their limit to get out of the situation alive. Yet the crew cannot even agree on one course of action, causing tension to rise, and mutiny is only a short step away. So
is the enemy played by John Delancey by any chance?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
No, that would be Q-0.
Yeah.
That'd be a better episode is what it would be.
We'll see. Anyway, thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time on the Holodecks.
Don't watch this.
Yeah.
Stay not reading.
Yes. And stay hunt.
Do anything else.
On the Starship Andromeda.